Hello. Hey, hey. Hey. Hey, hey. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I'm freaked out, and I'm excited, and I'm freaked out, and I'm excited, and oh god, I'm so knackered. Trying to process the emotion that arises, the internal response that arises when you hear that after 5+ years of homelessness, where you've been like in a variety of situations, like living rough, living in vehicles, living in tents, living in people's living rooms, living on the top of a barn, living in an unconverted barn, just, and then it's like, hey, we might have a home for you. Ooh, I'm waiting for a letter, and hopefully the letter is going to say that I have an offer on a housing association. Whoa, I'm feeling tearful. It's really actually quite challenging to process the flood of emotion that arises when you are potentially approaching the end of a very long journey and a very difficult transition that's kind of been. I need to talk basically about the what it's been like being homeless, even though technically I've been in a bed, in a room, in a house. And so, by a lot of people's standards, that wouldn't be like homeless. The only kind of version of homeless that some people register is if you're in a sleeping bag on the street, on the concrete, the tarmac, or you're under a bridge or a bush. They go, oh, you're homeless. But that's not the only definition of homeless. Homeless can mean your country is unsafe to live in and people are bombing it. Homeless can mean your house disappeared because someone bombed it. Homeless can mean you can't afford to pay your mortgage and you're sleeping in your cousin, your brother, your sister, your wife, your mother's house. Homeless can mean you've got a variety of interesting ways of like putting yourself to bed at night, and they don't always involve being on the street. Yeah, I lived rough for 9 months, and it was difficult. It was really difficult. I chose not to live in cities on the streets because I have a variety of differently wired experiences that make it very. But my experience included things like living in a women's housing cooperative, which was a failed women's housing cooperative. I was there for 9 months, and during that time I saw a range of behaviors from the women living there that in some cases led to like life-altering physical injuries. That place has a history of, at a time, some women interpreting what cooperative, women's housing cooperative means, to include notions like kill all the male dogs in a litter of a bitch that gave birth. And so this wasn't an easy place. I mean, it's got a history like that. Women were bashing each other, women were bleeding, women's bones were being literally affected, women were like trashing each other's belongings. It was awful place. There's very, very little of the original intent of cooperative women's housing cooperative. There were just very little there. I lived in vans with the water running down on the inside every morning. I lived in a van with wraparound windows in the winter, and when I woke up, the first thing I had to do was take a cloth and dry all the windows and like wring it out into a bucket and pour off a pint of water every day. You know, I now, yeah, there's a lot of um, judgment against people who end up homeless. Like, you know, well, you're lazy, you're a scrounger, you're a violent person, you're an addict, you're a loser, you're just, you know, not worth much. You know, now with COVID, loads more people are losing their homes. You know, they had a steady job, they went to work, they worked hard, COVID came, suddenly no work. Their work closed. Now they're without a job. Nobody else is employing. They've still got a house, they've still got a mortgage. The banks aren't saying, oh, psh, okay, yeah, we're going to have to like radically reform the way that we expect people to pay for their houses. Have got no money. That didn't happen. Loads of people are going homeless, you know. I ended up homeless this time because I've been homeless before. I ended up homeless this time because I was living in a beautiful house by a river, detached, in its own little bit of land, in a mountainous village. It was absolutely lovely. I paid good money for that with the help of the government, and the government paid for it. Let's say that, you know, I was getting rent rebate, I was getting housing benefit in the UK. Yeah, so I was living in that, and it was an exquisite place, and I was looking forward to putting down roots and, you know, finally finding a place where I wouldn't have to keep moving, because even in that one town I moved 5 times, and water, big problem. 2 out of the places had water running inside. One of the places, it was so cold in winter, I was paying like 400-500 quid for wood and coal. And even with the fire going all day and the heat on the radiators on with gas that I paid for, you know, even with that, I walk in my kitchen, which had a modern radiator, and the oil standing on the shelf was still fucking freezing in winter. I just couldn't get my head around that. You know, that was that house. But the house I left, the last time I was in a house, I can hear a cat in distress and it bothers me because I can feel the cat's emotions like it's my own, because I have mirror touch synesthesia, but I don't have to be touching it. Oh, man, hang on. Distress everywhere. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that as well as this. That's a pussy fight. I have to stop that. Sorry. No, I don't. I'm gonna just make a noise outside. Hang on a minute. Oi! What's going on? Don't make me come talk to you. Oi. So, that house in the mountainous village, I begged the landlord. I knew it was wet going in, and the landlord said, it's Christmas time, I'll do it in January when the workmen have come back. And I thought, that's reasonable. Everyone wants Christmas, except Christmas became January, February, March, April, the whole 6-month tenancy. He did fuck all. I left because I was living in the garden at that point for the last 3 months of my tenancy. The water was running down the inside. the mold was growing. The landlord was, yeah, I am addressing. It's like, no, you're fucking not. So that's why I became homeless this time, because it was my fifth house in one town, and the last three had been left because of environmental factors like water or cold that were beyond my capacity. I got evicted from one student house that was, not good. The next one was the cold one. The next one had a pint of water in front of inside the front door every day when it rained, sometimes more, like that much over the whole floor. The next one I left because I was going to what I thought was going to be a beautiful detached private house by the river that would help me with my sensory issues, and I ended up living in the garden in a tent for the last 3 months because the landlord couldn't be fucked to correct the water running down the walls that he'd said he would do, like within 2-3 weeks of me moving in. Bastard. He fixed it after. I got the council on him and he fixed it after. The next tenants have it really groovy, but I was out by then. I was homeless. No fucking good. No fucking good at all. Oi! There's a cat out there making like fight noises, and we've got two. This is what it means. I'm living in a house with animals on my own. I don't have them. Oof. On my own, I live on my own. I don't have people in my house. When I'm not homeless, I prefer to live on my own so that I can actually wake up in the morning and have my own experience instead of the experience of whoever is around me. Mirror touch synesthesia is something I want to talk about in much greater detail, especially for people on the edge of the scale at which I'm at, which is you don't even have to touch the fucking person to be running their experience like your own, including animal experience. So there's fear, there's anger, there's like, you can see I'm like getting fucking so hard. I just, wow. Alright, so go back to the good stuff. Maybe I've got a place after 5+ years of living in all sorts, and I've been with someone for several years who's been taking care of me. She's in one of my painting videos. Oh God. Processing too much. It's hard. I started off by saying that, it's hard to process all of the emotions. When you feel like you're finally going to land and be safe, everything that you've been like holding on because you couldn't do anything with it, because you had no way you could be with it, all of that starts rising to the surface, and your whole everything in you just wants to let go and just go there and deal with it and express it. And if it doesn't actually feel safe to do that, then there's this horrendous conflict between all of the stuff that you need to move through and not being able to do that because you don't feel like you've got a safe space in which to do that. And when you want to like say a lot of really harsh, hurtful things that have either happened to you or about other people doing stuff to you or whatever, you need safe space. You need safe space in which to do that. You need to feel that you can say all of that and not be overheard, not have people listening to you, if that's the way your process goes. If you need to be private, and I need to be fucking private, and I've not had privacy for over 5 years. I am up over here with unexpressed stuff that is literally in my body. I mean, 5 years ago I weighed 3 stone less. Yeah. God, so trying to explain all of that, it's hard. Good news, go back to the good news. Maybe I've got a secure tenancy with a housing association in mid Wales. Maybe. I have been told that I will receive an offer letter, and while I haven't got it, I'm like, oh my god, wait, oh my god, there's like ping ponging, and it's exhausting, and I'm so excited. I've already started packing boxes, and I haven't even got the letter yet. I'm that ready to move on. Okay, wow. Okay, so all of that was share some good news, express some of the like massive load of stuff being held as a consequence of being insecurely housed or unsuitably housed and not actually having a personal home. You know, emergency accommodation in someone else's house is not a personal home. This lady has been majorly gracious, but you know, me living in her living room has meant that this lady has been living for years without the use of a living room. I mean, get your head around that. That space has just not been available. It's like, wow. Okay, pray, wish me luck, thumbs, fingers, toes, all, everything, everything, knot it and twist it and hold it and clench it and pray it, and because I'm praying that, this is it, this is actually the result of what I've been told is going to be a door with a key that's mine, and I can put the key in the door and lock it and walk away and come back, and everything will be fine. It'll be safe. It'll be as I left it, because that, when you're homeless, you don't have that. Um, be able to go in and close the door behind me, and when I'm in the space, it's just me, just me in my space, and I can do whatever I need to for myself, for my own healing, for my own growth, and for my own expression and creativity. I can do that. Wow. Yeah, amazing just to have that. I really, really hope that that is what actually is going to happen. So I'm going to take this now and lift it up. Oh, I just threw my electric pencil, what you call that thing? These things. Fortunately, I think it didn't die. Okay, I'm going to say Om Namaste. I have to hold this bloody thing. No, I'm going to put it down, and I'm going to say thank you very much for listening. And maybe everyone else in the world who's had a problem with homelessness, of that massive amount, for what all the reasons, maybe some will find their way here and go, I fucking know what that feels like. And when you do, it's like, hey, my heart goes out to you. I greet you in peace. Om Namaste.